The galaxy had never seen anything like Marcus Kane. He stood 7 feet tall with muscles that looked like they were carved from stone. His arms were thick as tree trunks. His chest was wide enough to block a doorway. When he walked, the ground seemed to shake beneath his heavy boots. The humans called him a legend. The aliens called him something else entirely. They called him the monster from Earth. Marcus had not asked for this life. He was once a simple construction worker on the colony planet Nexus 7. He built homes and bridges with his bare hands. He lifted steel beams that machines were supposed to carry. The other workers watched him with amazement every single day. But that peaceful life ended when the Vorthan Empire came to destroy everything he loved. The Vorthans were insectoid creatures with black shells and razor-sharp claws. They moved through the galaxy like a plague. They conquered planet after planet without mercy. When they arrived at Nexus 7, they expected easy prey. They found Marcus Kane instead. On that terrible day, Marcus watched his entire colony burn. He saw families running and screaming. He saw the Vorthan soldiers cutting down innocent people like they were nothing. Something broke inside Marcus that day. Something dark and powerful woke up in its place. He grabbed a metal pole from the burning rubble. He charged into the Vorthan ranks alone. The aliens had never encountered a human like this before. Marcus moved through them like a storm of destruction. His massive fists crushed their shells. His powerful legs kicked them across the battlefield. He broke their weapons with his bare hands. He threw their soldiers into walls with enough force to shatter concrete. By the time the sun set, Marcus stood alone in a field of broken Vorthan bodies. He was covered in their green blood. His eyes burned with a fire that would never go out. The survivors of Nexus 7 spread stories about what happened that day. Those stories traveled across space faster than any ship could fly. They reached the ears of a species called the Dracorians. These were the lizard people of the planet Scales Prime. They had green scales and yellow eyes. Their tails were long and powerful. Their claws could tear through metal. But despite their fierce appearance, they were losing their war against the Vorthan Empire. The Dracorian High Council sent a message to Marcus Kane. They begged him to come to their world. They offered him anything he wanted. They promised him ships and weapons and gold. Marcus only asked for one thing in return. He wanted to kill every Vorthan in the galaxy. When Marcus arrived on Scales Prime, the Dracorians gathered to see him. Thousands of lizard warriors filled the capital city streets. They stared at the human giant with a mixture of fear and hope. Their leader, a scarred old warrior named Crix Shadowtail, approached Marcus slowly. Crix had fought in 100 battles. He had never felt fear before. But looking into the human's cold eyes, he felt something close to it. Marcus looked at the Dracorian army. He saw warriors who were strong but broken. He saw soldiers who had been defeated too many times. Their spirits were crushed. Their hope was gone. The Vorthans had beaten them in every major battle for the past 10 years. The lizard people were ready to accept extinction. Marcus climbed onto a platform so everyone could see him. He raised his massive fist into the air. His voice boomed across the crowd like thunder rolling through mountains. He told them that the Vorthans were not gods. They were insects. They could be crushed like any other bug. He told them that he would lead them to victory. He told them that together they would make the Vorthan Empire tremble with fear. Something changed in the Dracorian warriors that day. They looked at this human and saw something they had lost. They saw strength without limit. They saw rage without fear. They saw a leader who would never stop fighting. One by one, they dropped to their knees. They swore their loyalty to Marcus Kane. They called him Warlord. They called him Commander. They called him the Destroyer of Vorthans. Marcus spent the next 3 months training the Dracorian army. He pushed them harder than they had ever been pushed before. He made them run until their legs gave out. He made them fight until their claws were blunt. He showed them human combat techniques that no alien had ever seen. He taught them how to use their natural weapons in new and deadly ways. The lizard warriors grew stronger every day. Their scales seemed harder. Their eyes seemed fiercer. They moved with a new kind of purpose. Marcus trained alongside them every single moment. He lifted boulders over his head. He wrestled the strongest Dracorians and pinned them in seconds. He showed them what a human body could really do when pushed beyond all limits. Word of this training spread through the galaxy. Spies brought reports back to the Vorthan Emperor. The insectoid ruler laughed at first. One human and some lizards were no threat to his mighty empire. But as the reports continued, the laughter stopped. The spies described a human who could bend metal bars with his hands. They described lizard warriors who were faster and stronger than before. They described an army that was no longer afraid. The first battle came on the moon of Karis. A Vorthan invasion force of 10,000 soldiers had landed there. They were preparing to attack a nearby Dracorian colony. Marcus led 5,000 lizard warriors to meet them. The Dracorians were outnumbered 2-1. It did not matter. Marcus charged into battle at the front of his army. He did not wear armor. He did not carry a gun. He only had his fists and his rage. The Vorthans fired their weapons at him. The energy blast burned his skin but did not slow him down. He reached their front lines and began his terrible work. The lizard warriors watched their human commander tear through the enemy. They saw him grab Vorthans by their legs and use them as weapons against their own kind. They saw him punch through their armored shells like they were made of paper. They heard his mighty roar shake the very air around them. The Dracorians let out their own battle cry. They surged forward with a fury they had forgotten they possessed. The battle lasted only 2 hours. The Vorthans broke and ran before it was even half finished. They fled to their ships and left their wounded behind. Marcus Kane stood on a pile of enemy bodies and watched them go. His chest was heaving. His muscles were covered in green blood. His eyes still burned with that terrible fire. The Dracorians raised their weapons and chanted his name until the sky echoed with the sound. News of this victory spread like fire across dry grass. Other Vorthan commanders heard what happened on Karis. They heard about the human giant who could not be stopped. They heard about the lizard army that fought without fear. For the first time in centuries, the Vorthan Empire felt something new. They felt doubt creeping into their hearts. Marcus did not give them time to recover. He led his army from planet to planet. He attacked Vorthan outposts and bases. He destroyed their supply lines. He burned their weapons factories. Every battle was the same. Marcus would lead the charge. The Dracorians would follow with fanatical devotion. The Vorthans would break and run. The lizard warriors began to worship Marcus like a god. They painted his image on their armor. They carved statues of him in their cities. Young Dracorians fought for the honor of serving in his personal guard. Old warriors wept with joy because they lived to see this day. Marcus had given them something more valuable than victory. He had given them pride again. 6 months after that first battle, Marcus led his army to the Vorthan homeworld. 50,000 Dracorian warriors followed him. Their ships darkened the sky above the insectoid planet. The Vorthan Emperor looked up at this invasion force and knew that his time had come. He ordered his entire military to defend the capital city. 200,000 Vorthan soldiers prepared for the final battle. Marcus Kane landed on the planet's surface first. He jumped from his ship before it even touched the ground. He hit the earth with such force that it cracked beneath his feet. The Vorthans saw him standing there alone. They saw this one human facing their entire army. Some of them remembered the stories. Some of them felt fear growing in their stomachs. Marcus spoke to the Vorthan army in a voice that carried across the battlefield. He told them that this was their last chance to surrender. He told them that his lizard warriors would show no mercy. He told them that he would personally destroy every single one of them if they chose to fight. The Vorthan generals laughed nervously. They had 200,000 soldiers. What could one human and some lizards do against such numbers? The Dracorian army landed behind their commander. They formed perfect battle lines. Their scales gleamed in the alien sunlight. Their yellow eyes burned with hatred for their ancient enemy. They waited in complete silence for the command to attack. Marcus raised his fist. The Dracorians let out a roar that shook the planet itself. They charged forward like a green wave of death. Marcus ran ahead of them all. His legs pumped like mighty engines. His fists were ready to crush everything in his path. The battle that followed would be remembered for 1,000 years. Marcus Kane waded through the Vorthan army like it was made of smoke. He grabbed soldiers and threw them into their own ranks. He smashed through their defensive walls with his shoulder. He caught their energy weapons and bent them into useless metal. The Dracorians fought beside him with savage joy. They tore through the Vorthans with their claws and teeth and tails. Hour after hour, the battle raged. The Vorthan numbers meant nothing against such fury. Their soldiers began to flee. Their generals ran to their escape ships. Their formations collapsed into chaos. By the time the sun set on that bloody day, the Vorthan emperor was dead. Marcus Kane had crushed the insectoid ruler with his bare hands in front of both armies. The survivors of the Vorthan military scattered across the galaxy. They ran to the darkest corners of space. They hid on forgotten moons and abandoned stations. Wherever they went, they carried stories of Marcus Kane. They told tales of the human monster who commanded the lizard army. They warned others never to challenge him, never to face him in battle, never to even look at the stars where he might be watching. Marcus Kane stood in the ruins of the Vorthan capital as the victorious Dracorians celebrated around him. Crick Shadowtail approached his human commander with tears in his reptilian eyes. The old warrior dropped to his knees and thanked Marcus for saving his entire species. Marcus helped him back to his feet. He told Crix that the war was not over yet. There were other tyrants in the galaxy. There were other innocent species that needed protection. The work had only begun. The Dracorians followed Marcus Kane across the stars for many years after that day. They freed countless worlds from oppression. They built an empire of their own based on honor and strength. And at the center of it all stood a human giant with muscles of iron and a heart that knew no surrender. The galaxy learned to fear the name Marcus Kane. They learned that humanity was not to be challenged. They learned that when a human sets his mind to something, nothing in the universe can stop him. The enemies of peace fled before him in pure terror. And the muscular hero who commanded the lizard army became a legend that would echo through eternity.